everyone, we're back here in my workshop in Lyme Regis, back for the Skills Centre at Home series of live videos. Sorry for a slight delay, we had a little bit of a Wi-Fi issue, but today I'm hoping everything is going to be lovely and crisp. Today's project is quite small compared to things we've been doing so far this week, so we're going to get you in close as we possibly can. So ready when you are, guys. We're going to do a small pendant. I'm going to just talk through a few ideas with you first, and then we're going to look at the actual making of an oak one, a burr oak one. We're going to keep it to timber, but I'm just going to show you a few bits of resin before we get going. Okay, so here goes. Okay, as usual, we've got Charlie behind the scenes. He's going to be asking the questions and moving the camera and all that sort of thing. So we're going to start off. I just want to show you what we're going to be making. So it's going to be one of these little pendants. Okay, just an offset pendant with a small hole in the center. This one, as you can see, is part resin, part timber. I'm going to show you a few blanks, maybe to give you some ideas, firstly. So the one I'm going to start you off with is timber. So we're going to do this nice piece of burr oak. I've prepped this up, so I've just, with hot melt glue, put a little bit of beach dowel on there. That's going to be my hold point to turn the front face. Now, I've done a few this morning, or the front faces of a few, just to show you, but that's timber. Let's have a look at a few ideas with resin. So here's some cast Banksia nut. You'll probably be familiar with a Banksia nut. That's going to be cut through and quartered, and at that point then I can set my blank up. So again, you can see the quarter there, the Banksia nut with a piece of waste timber, and then once you've turned that, you can see that sort of figuring. So it's a really interesting way of using some Banksia nuts, and you can get quite a lot of jewellery out of one piece. Just another thing, pine cones are another good one. This is a piece of solid pine cone that I think I might have shown you at the beginning of the week. But depending on where you cut that, so if you cut it down through the pine cone, you get some very interesting sort of patterns come out, these sorts of shapes here. I'll show you that again with a half-turned one. You get that sort of pattern. And then if we look at cutting through the pine cone, so instead of cutting down through it, we cut, down for its length, we cut down through the section. This is a sort of effect we have, sort of rose-like in its finish. I think that's quite an interesting one to do. But like I said, we're going to stick with timber with you today. We've done quite a lot of resin. We're going to be doing more resin tomorrow in terms of the bowl blank. So let's get started. If I just move all these bits out the way, we'll turn our burr oak pendant. There's a few different jaws that I want to introduce you to for this project. The first one are the wood plate jaws that we've got here. Now, for anybody that hasn't seen the wood plate jaws, they can be made to all shapes and all sizes. This is a particularly small one, and just to show you what's happening at the back, the wood plate bit is this. Okay, you then screw that onto a piece of plywood, and then you can shape whatever or customize whatever size that you want to do for the project that you're doing. So very customizable. This is perfectly, or I've set this up ready for these pendants. This is going to hold the outside. So I'm going to walk you through that. Like I said, all shapes and sizes can be made, and I've got some really big ones for holding the outside of bowls, for instance, for the rim of bowls. But this one is set up and ready for the pendant. As well as those, I'm going to be using another jaw called soft jaws, and these soft jaws I've just drilled to slightly offset, and that's going to give us the offset hole in the pendant as well. And they, again, just another jaw that locate into the back of your normal mounting jaw. I'm using two chucks, but effectively I can take these jaws and put them in there and vice versa. So this is the SK114 here, and I've got the SK100 on here.
Did you make those jaws?
So I made the wooden bit, but like I said, the wooden bit is attached to the bit you buy. Wood plate jaw is this metal bit. You then attach your piece of timber, clamp them together, and then in the middle, when you clamp them together, hold a little bit of beach dowel there whilst you turn the shapes. You don't want to turn the shape with them fully closed, otherwise you'll have to expand that shape and you ruin the form. So a little bit of beach dowel in there, turn your shape, and then you're ready to go. But ever so easy. I would recommend plywood, and personally birch ply is a good quality plywood. That'd be the best thing to make your jaws out of. MDF is just too soft and it will delaminate very quickly and you'll end up having an accident. So I would go with plywood, it's much easier. It's also stable, whereas a piece of timber could potentially split or warp. So plywood for me works much better. So if we start to make this one, you can see my preparation is literally just slice the blank up, and then we're using our beech dowel or piece of turn timber, whichever, but just a bit of hot melt glue there just to give me something to grip to start with. And I pre-bored this out with a drill bit to the same size as that. So what we can do now, if we offer that up, this is just going to be turning the front face. Just going to turn the front face and tidy up this edge. I'm going to be going fairly quick. How's the lighting? Can everybody see okay? Yeah. Give me a shout if there's any problems with the lighting. We can put another light on. We've got the sunlight coming through quite nicely at the moment. Now I'm going to start off with a small 1/4 or 6mm bowl gouge. Okay, nice deep fluted bowl gouge. I'm just going to start by tidying up that edge. Let's do that again. Take 2.
Do Axminster sell the metal jaws to mount the plywood on?
Of course we do, absolutely. Axminster do sell the wood plate jaws in 2 sizes. Off the top of my head, the number on this one is, the part number is 910405, and that's a 6-inch wood plate jaw. So I'm just truing up the outside face. Let's just have a quick look and stop and check. I want to make sure all the flats are gone, but I don't want to take too much away, otherwise it'll be too small for the jaws I've made. There we are, that's enough. Now I'm just going to do a very slight radius. Just a drag cut, a pull cut from the gouge is enough. There we are, again, that's plenty for now. Then I'm going to go for the skew, just as a very slight tidy up, just a nice scrape, with the tool rest nice and close. As we're in my workshop, I can plug my own skews, so I'm using the Colwin Way signature skew chisel here. This is the largest one. We get a chance later on next week, sometime we could potentially look at doing a skew session. There we are, just a very slight radius. Again, let's just have a quick look before we start sanding. We're going to try and keep this this session again down to 45 minutes. Lovely, lovely. I'm just going to try and put a light on, guys, so if it's interfering, then let Charlie know. That's what we're doing. So a nice, easy bit of turning in a very sound grip. I think we'll start there with. Let's start with a 150 grit. So I'm going to do a 150, 240, 400 before I then move on to the 600, a nice fine one. So 150, only because it's timber. If I was using any of the resins, then I'd want to use water as well. Charlie, would you just put the dust extractor on just very quickly? There we are, so 150, 240. And finally onto the 600. Now I'm not going to put any finish on these, I'm going to buff these up in the same style that we did yesterday on on the wooden fruit. So there, let's take that off. Let's just have a quick look, show you the sort of grain that we're getting. All right, it's a beautiful bit of timber, this one. You never really know what you're going to get when you're turning a burr, but that's quite nice. So you see what I've done? I've just made this little radius here. Now I can flip them over, and we can do the same thing to the back edge now.
What dust extractor are you using?
Funny you should say that. I am using, I'll get all the correct coding, so obviously an Axminster Tools dust extractor. This is the AC the 50. Yeah, Charlie just said quite rightly, get the camera around and show everybody. So he's just going to show you that one in a minute. Okay, and that dust extractor, incidentally, we've got a fine filter cartridge on the top of that with a plastic bag on the bottom, so good for your fine dust extraction. The thing is, with wood turning, what we do, we need to get some airflow from a long distance from the nozzle. It's not like using a vacuum on a power tool, which you can plug straight into it, sort of thing. This we need to drag from a long way. So it's a volume that we need to create. Same sort of machine that we would use for pulling chips from a planer is the same one that I'm using here, except that we put the fine filter cartridge on. Now that gives me terrific airflow through the system, and it pulls from further away. Just a very quick insight into the dust extractor. Okay, so next bit, we'll go back with that bowl gouge. Just turning off a little bit of waste beach first, and we can go a little bit quicker than this. So up now to 1900 revs. I'm not forcing anything. This is a nice delicate little project. At the moment, it's a little bit too thick, so we're going to take some of the some of the thickness away. Back with the skew chisel. And again, back with that sanding process. So Charlie, would you pop the extractor back on? He's only Charles when he's naughty. Beautiful bit of timber. So that gives us a nice little disc of timber, and now we can start thinking about putting our offset hole in it. Now, if you look down here, we've got quite a big fissure, so I don't want to go anywhere near that with my offset hole. I'm going to look for the solid timber, so up here somewhere, and that'll be down the bottom, the thickest area. Okay, so we're going to have a change of chuck. For these jaws, and then we're going to pop this in. Oh, change of chuck key, sorry. So this is now the SK100. Now, not forgetting what I've just said, solid area we're looking for, so let's go. Ooh. We'll go in there somewhere, so that's going to be where the hole is. Now before I start doing anything, I'm going to drill a small pilot hole. This is going to give me an idea when I'm reversing or when I'm turning it around the other way where to line up. So just a small drill. So tailstock back on. I'm only going to do a small 8mm hole, just really as an indicator of where everything is. That's my drill bit and drill chuck. You'll see what I mean. 2 seconds. Lathe speed down to 0. Turn that lathe, and I always do that. If I've changed something on the lathe, you get the speed back down to 0. Start off slowly, always thinking about that safety. So I'm now going to drill all the way through. Just take my time. There we are, we're through. That gives us an offset just there. So you can see I don't need to go too much. I'm not going to take too much away from that.
How did you create the offset in the wood jaw?
Well, and by the way, you can do the same thing I've done here with these soft jaws with the wood plates. You make another set of wood plate jaws, you can do the same thing there. I thought for a long time how to do that, and to the point where I was overthinking it. I simply held it in the chuck, clamped my chuck in a drill vise, and drilled it out with a Forstner bit where I wanted it to be. So we always go through these thought process of how to do something, and especially wood turners, they sometimes overthink it. I thought, well, let's just put the hole where I want it with a drill, a pillar drill, and that's what I've done. Same thing, you've got to don't try and hold that chuck by hand if you put it in a pillar drill, or if you put it on the bed of a pillar drill. Hold it in a proper drill vise, clamp it in position, and then use a Forstner bit to drill that offset hole. So we're going to go back with a gouge, so back with a small bowl gouge. A little bit of speed now. And we're not doing too much, just a small cut. Stop and have a look frequently just to see. You never really know, so I reckon we'll go a little bit more than that.
Is there any benefit to drilling it on the lathe rather than just drilling it on the pillar drill?
Not really. It's just that I'm here, the lathe's here, it's easy to do on the lathe sort of thing, so that's my reasoning behind it, rather than coming away from the lathe and having to move to the drill. You've got your tailstock there. What's what works for you, really. Little bit of a scrape just to finish up with that skew. That was the smaller of the Colwin Way signature skews. Just being cheeky there. Back with the abrasive. No need for the extraction here, Charlie. We're just going to do a quick sanding on this one. Roughly with the 150 first, and then I'm going back to my 240. Just to let you know, guys, if you think of questions, if you watch this or you've watched it in the evening, you think of questions, just keep asking, either on YouTube, on Facebook. Ask those questions. I will get the list of questions and I will answer them. So go to the Axminster sites, whatever means you're looking at it, and ask those questions. We'll get to them. I'm always a bit vague when people ask me part numbers and model numbers and things like that. I use it, but I don't know all the numbers. There we are, 600 grit. Let's just take a look at that and see where we are. We might need to do a little bit more yet. Oh, that's nice. I quite like the way that that's softened that over. Maybe let's do a little bit more of that softening actually. Go back to 240. So normally we wouldn't want to soften these crisp edges, but here it blends it in quite nicely. What are we doing for time, Charlie?
20 minutes.
Yeah, like that. That's good. Good. Okay, so let's flip him over. So you can see where the hole is, how it's lining up with those three. That's what we're going to do again. You can get away with a little bit of misalignment, but not too much. That'll do us. We were talking last week about how tight to do a chuck, and it's one of those questions that's very difficult. My answer's always been in class, stop just before you hear that first crack. I say it all the time, and it does get a little bit of a chuckle, but it's a little bit of truth in there. There's probably a calculation you can do, and if you had a torque wrench, then brilliant. But every bit's different. It's the resistance that you get to when you're tightening the chuck up that you know if you go any further, something bad's going to happen. So it's just a very slight tweak. A lot of the time, like many of these things that we're doing, it's experience, and when you're beginning, you don't have the experience. So you've got to make a few mistakes, as long as you're safe while making them. There we are. I'm going to stop and have a look. Again, we got a little bit of breakout there. That's actually from the the circle there. So we can go a bit further. I'll get rid of that, hopefully. We'll use the skew again as a scraper as well. There we are. I think that should be enough. Yeah, we'll give that a sand. So again, same abrasive, then 50 grit. .240. And then onto our 600. We'll double check that blend in a minute. There we are, that's fine. So that's basically the pendant done, apart from its finish. So there we are, you can see that nice offset. Is that central there, Charlie? Yeah. Lovely bit of burr, that one. So let's finish. Let's get that all polished up now, and then we'll get it on a bit of cord. So just a change of chucks. And let's go to, well, I can go to any chuck really. So if I go to my chuck with the C jaws in, I'm going to hold, again like we did yesterday, hold in there my pigtail. Camera okay, Charlie? Yeah, you might want to bring it back. I'm going to use these polishing mops again. So focus on this area here more. And we want to be, I'm going to be polishing about 1400. 12 to 14 seems to work quite well. I'm going to use Triple E or Triple Max. Triple E or Triple Max, and then back to the Carnauba again. Okay, so the Triple E bar there. And then the Carnauba wax will be the glossing agent on the loose leaf mop. So this is a stitched mop. A little bit of Triple E, careful because you know it's quite a fragile piece of work now. If anybody goes to buy the stitched mops or loose leaf mops online, if you go to the Axminster website, you'll be greeted with quite a few selections. So this is a 150mm wheel, and I'm using grade G. So there's two grades, I think it's H and G. This is G on both the loose leaf and the stitched mop. There we are. So again, this is, at the moment, we want to get a little bit more of a sheen to that. So now we're going to go to the Carnauba wax. And this is the unstitched, so loose leaf. Same speed on this, that's fine. And Carnauba wax or wood turner's stick. A little bit of that. Got to hold on to it. Getting slippery now. That's such a high sheen. There we are, so that's finished. Again, how central am I there, Charlie? You can see the sort of shine that you can get bounce off of that. It's a really pretty timber. The timber's selling it, but the finish is also everything. If you're into selling your work, you get people to pick it up, the finish is very, very important. So that's a piece of bur oak. So to finish that, all I would do, I use just waxed cord, but obviously that's entirely your taste. And for that piece, I think we'll go with a darker cord. Okay, and there we go. So there's our offset pendant out of a piece of bur oak on wood plate jaws and nylon soft jaws. Okay, pull the camera up a little bit, Charlie. Let's let everybody know what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So that was quite a quick one, that guys. Is quite a nice little quick project. So you could make a couple of those in an evening potentially. Do your prep first, obviously. You've got to make your wood plate jaws. And get your timbers sorted. But this is another great way of using all those spare pieces of timber that you have knocking around in the workshop. I hope you enjoyed that one. Now tomorrow we're going to look at our resin that we cast on Monday. Now I'm keeping everything crossed for this because this morning it wasn't quite ready. It's still a little bit soft. I have a plan B though. I do have some cast resin already, if not. But we'll have a look at potential problems. If that is the case, we'll talk about it and show you why. But again, guys, thank you ever so much for your support, for tuning in, for watching. All your messages have been really, really nice. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Come back tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 o'clock, for turning some resin. Until then, stay safe. Keep keep turning, and I'll see you tomorrow.